Welcome back to the Desk Besties. Listen, today's explainer is spilling the absolute tea on the unscripted reality behind the music industry's biggest titan. I mean, we all know the lore by now, right? Taylor Swift has been selling out these massive, sprawling stadiums across the globe in a way we literally haven't seen since the height of Michael Jackson or the Beatles. Her tours are absolute behemoths of production, planning, and precision. I think we all collectively remember the absolute bloodbath that was the Ticketmaster queue just to try and get a nosebleed seat to the Eras Tour. And honestly, when you are putting on a show of that magnitude, the pressure to be absolutely flawless is astronomical. But here on this channel, we love a little behind-the-scenes reality check. Today, we are looking at the absolute chaos that happens when the most perfectly planned performances go completely off the rails. Because let's be real for a second, even a billionaire pop icon with an absolute army of crew members isn't immune to the universe throwing a massive wrench into the works. So grab your snacks, get comfortable, because we are unpacking the funniest, most unexpected, and totally chaotic bloopers to ever happen on our stage, and we're analyzing exactly how she handles the pressure when millions of eyes are watching her every single move. So you expect a billion-dollar tour to be absolutely flawless, right? Tightly choreographed down to the very millisecond, perfectly timed pyrotechnics, seamless costume changes, and pristine global stadium execution. When fans are paying thousands of dollars on the resale market, the baseline expectation is straight-up pop perfection. But, as this explainer reveals, the reality of live entertainment is incredibly unpredictable. Behind that glossy, hyper-rehearsed expectation is a reality that involves malfunctioning technology, sudden gravity checks, fighting Mother Nature herself, dead microphones, swallowed bugs, and literal breaking pianos. I mean, you can script the music, you can rehearse the choreography for 6 months straight, and you can build the most technologically advanced stage in the entire world, but you absolutely cannot script the environment. The sheer scale of a 3.5-hour stadium show means that statistically, things are going to go completely sideways. And when they do, there are no do-overs. There is no director yelling cut so they can reset the scene. It is live, it is loud, and the way a performer reacts in those split seconds tells you everything you need to know about their actual stage presence. Okay, here's the quick rundown for today's explainer. 1. The illusion of perfect pop. 2. When the technology rebellions. 3. Wardrobe, weather, and bugs. 4. The human element of performance. 5. Setting boundaries on stage. And 6. Why the chaos actually works. Let's dive right into Section 1, the illusion of perfect pop, and what happens when million-dollar choreography meets reality. Let's actually look at the data breakdown of 19 heavily documented stage disasters from our source, which completely shatters the illusion that pop megastars operate in this frictionless bubble. You know, when we put these stars on a pedestal, we kind of just assume their lives are immune to the everyday inconveniences that we deal with. But breaking down these chaotic moments, they generally fall into 3 distinct categories. A massive 42% of these moments come from technologies simply betraying her. Given the sheer math of the Erase Tour, we are talking massive LED screens, motorized platforms, trapdoors, and literal light-up stage panels running for over 3 hours every night. It makes total sense that the tech gives out. Another 32% are the result of the elements attacking her. That is your weather and wardrobe malfunctions, things entirely out of a performer's control when you're playing in massive open-air stadiums. And finally, 26% are just plain human error. It is literally a perfect pie of unpredictability. What's super fascinating here is that the majority of her biggest blunders aren't even her fault. They are systemic failures of the touring environment, yet she is the one standing in front of 70,000 people who has to magically smooth it over. Moving right along to Section 2, when the technology rebellions. We're talking mics, platforms, and haunted pianos. We really have to dive deep into these instances of uncooperative tech because they are honestly iconic moments in stan culture at this point. Imagine this. In Chicago, Taylor was right in the middle of a very earnest speech when her microphone suddenly just stopped working. Dead silence in a stadium of thousands. Most people would totally freeze, maybe look around panicked for a technician, right? But the show never stops for her. She just started projecting her voice and yelling directly into the dead mic, substituting her spoken words with these grand theatrical body gestures, keeping the crowd totally hyped up until a crew member sprinted out with a replacement. You could see exactly how genuinely thrilled she was to get it. Then in Indianapolis, she had a dead mic pack all the way out on the runway. Instead of rushing back or breaking character, she casually called out the dead mic like it was the most normal thing in the world and gave us this high-fashion runway model strut back to the center stage. Zero panic, pure pop girl energy. Or how about Dublin? She was standing on a motorized stage platform that was supposed to majestically lower her out of sight. The crew member's platform nonchalantly went back down, while Taylor's totally refused to budge. She was literally left stranded up there, awkwardly laughing and looking around as she tried to figure out why her billion-dollar stage was holding her hostage. The fan cams of her just standing there like, well, guess I live here now, went entirely viral. And in Milan, her acoustic piano literally stopped cooperating mid-performance, forcing her and a crew member to pop the heavy wooden lid open and repair the internal mechanics right there on stage. She literally joked to the crowd, "We finally broke it," before somehow magically fixing the issue. The crowd was cheering for the stagehand like he was the opening act. But listen, the Milan piano has absolutely nothing on what happened in Foxborough, Massachusetts, which is a piece of lore that Swifties still talk about constantly. Taylor's famous for her rain shows. She basically refuses to cancel a show just because of a torrential downpour. But the tech doesn't always agree with that mindset. In Foxborough, she told the crowd that the relentless rain had finally gotten to the acoustic piano after hours of straight downpours. She literally told the audience that it was like a water park under the stage. And then, as if on cue to prove her point, the piano suddenly started playing low, eerie notes completely by itself. She looked at the crowd, her jaw completely dropped, asking, "Did you hear that? Do you hear the piano?" It kept happening again and again. Fans on Twitter immediately started joking that the waterlogged instrument was haunted by her previous eras, or maybe possessed by the ghosts of her ex-boyfriends. The atmosphere was so incredibly spooky, and her genuine shock was hilarious. It basically became an impromptu haunted co-performer for the night, proving that sometimes the tech doesn't just fail, it actively fights back. All right, Section 3, Wardrobe, Weather, and Bugs. Fighting Mother Nature. You know, you can hire the best audio engineers on the planet, but you absolutely cannot negotiate with the weather. During her stop in Singapore, the humidity was so intense that her perfectly straightened, heavily styled hair rebelled entirely. If you've been a fan since her debut era, you know that Taylor naturally has super tight, curly hair. Fans are completely obsessed with her natural curls, so when the humidity stripped all the styling products away, Stan Twitter lost its collective mind. By the end of the show, she looked out at the massive audience and joked that her hair had returned to its factory settings. She wasn't complaining, she actually leaned into it. But during another notoriously humid show on the Eras Tour, the weather took it even further. Her hair puffed up so wildly in the heat that she had to break character and tell the crowd, "That is not a hairstyle, that is physics." She had absolutely no idea what her hair was doing, she couldn't control it, and she just completely rolled with it, turning a massive styling fail into a viral soundbite that lived rent-free on TikTok for weeks. Let's talk about her literal battles with the elements, because some of these are so unhinged. Picture this, mid-speech, during one of the quietest, most attentive moments of the show, a bug flew straight into her mouth. She started gagging and coughing on stage, she couldn't hide it, and instead of calling for a timeout or running backstage for water, she just exasperatedly called the bug stupid and joked with the stadium, asking if anyone had even noticed. Spoiler alert, tens of thousands of people in the venue and millions online definitely noticed. The clip was everywhere. Then we have the absolute brutal reality of cold weather. During a performance in Edinburgh's Murrayfield Stadium in front of 70,000 screaming fans, the freezing Scottish temperatures gave her a severe hand cramp. Any other artist might have called for a 10-minute break or literally canceled the acoustic set. Her hands simply stopped cooperating to form the guitar chords. She openly joked that it had never happened before, started aggressively massaging and warming it up right there on stage in front of everyone, and then she just pushed right through the pain because stopping was never an option. That is an insane level of professionalism. And finally, the wind. She was having a perfectly normal, glamorous moment on stage when a massive gust of wind decided to participate, blowing her entire skirt up in a total Marilyn Monroe moment. You could tell she was slightly embarrassed for a fraction of a second, but she just laughed it off beautifully, pushing the skirt down and continuing the choreography without missing a single beat. That is an insane level of professionalism. And we have to talk about the wardrobe malfunctions because the anxiety of a stadium quick change is actually terrifying. For context, we talk about this all the time on this channel. Pop stars use dark tunnels right under the stage, sprinting while dressers literally rip clothes off them and staple or zip new ones on in less than 40 seconds. It is pure adrenaline. So she was giving a speech, planning to do one song on guitar and one on piano, when she suddenly realized her gorgeous cold shoulder dress was on completely backward. The sleeve was entirely tucked under her arm. She explained to the crowd exactly what happens backstage, saying, "So we are changing clothes in the dark, you know you're not going to get it right." She tried her hardest to fix it discreetly, playfully begging the audience, "Don't look at them, don't look at them," as her backup singers and crew rushed over to help reconstruct the dress. And what's crazy is that it happened again at a totally different show with a different color dress, the exact same zipper problem. In another wild incident, the heel of her custom designer shoe broke clean off mid-performance. Did she stop the track? Nope. She just casually took it off, donated it to a very lucky dancer on stage, and finished the highly choreographed routine entirely half-heeled, balancing perfectly on one tiptoe like it was part of the original routine. Okay, moving to section 4, the human element of performance, missed cues and gravity. Sometimes, you guys, the chaos isn't the environment, and it isn't the multi-million-dollar tech. Sometimes it's just pure, undeniable human error. During the blank space section of the Eras Tour, she's swinging this dramatic, glowing golf club. The move is simple: swing it, put it behind your head to look incredibly cool and slightly unhinged. But instead, she accidentally whacks herself right in the head with it. She breaks character for just a split second, giving this hilarious, bewildered look, and then keeps right on going as if the choreography called for self-sabotage. Then, Gravity has had a main character moment a few times. During the incredibly dark and edgy Reputation Stadium tour, she was coming down from a platform escorted by a backup dancer. The dancer went into a crouching move without realizing how close he was to her feet, and down she went, totally wiping out. At another show, she was so aggressively excited coming down a set of stage stairs while dramatically throwing a massive sofa prop that she tumbled right down the steps. The best part? She popped right back up, gave a massive smile, and acted like she meant to do a stunt roll. But my personal favorite, and the one that went completely viral on pop culture Twitter, happened in Gelsenkirchen, Germany. At the end of We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, she goes to deliver her iconic spoken word sass. The buildup is massive. She served the absolute perfect bratty facial expression to the camera, but totally forgot to bring the microphone up to her mouth. Nobody heard a single thing, just absolute silence in a massive stadium. She had to quickly break character, reset her face, do it again perfectly with the mic, and strut off. It was so incredibly relatable. Now, the surprise song segment of her show, the acoustic set, is incredibly high stakes. Fans literally track these songs on massive spreadsheets. Because it's completely stripped down, just her and an instrument, there is nowhere to hide if you mess up. During one of these sets, she was performing Delicate, completely acoustic. The absolute second she started singing, she realized something was deeply off with her guitar arrangement. She stopped the entire stadium immediately and said, "Oh, wait, this is in the wrong key. Sorry, 1 second. Actually, wait, she said, this is the wrong key," caught it instantly, stopped being a global pop star for a second, and just became a musician fixing a capo on her guitar. And the crazy part is the crowd cheers actually got louder. In another acoustic set, she completely missed a heavy chord on the piano, stopped playing entirely, couldn't even keep a straight face, and admitted to the crowd, sometimes you just don't hit the right note. This vulnerability is exactly what fans crave. On to section 5, setting boundaries on stage and knowing exactly when to say no. Let's talk about an absolute masterclass in boundary setting. We have to go back to 2014 for context. This was her official transition from country darling to pure pop powerhouse with the 1989 era. The pressure on female pop stars at the MTV Video Music Awards to do something dangerous, scandalous, or viral is immense. The industry practically demands that women put their bodies on the line for a headline. So Taylor is performing her massive hit, Shake It Off, on live, global television. Step 1. She is standing on top of a giant, towering 1989 sign. The choreography dictates that she is supposed to do a massive, blind trust fall jump backward off the sign into the arms of her dancers waiting far below. Step 2. She looks down at the massive drop. Step 3. She assesses the physical risk in real time, absolutely halts the music, and flat out refuses to make the jump. Step 4. She simply turns around and walks safely down a set of hidden stairs instead, leaving the entire live MTV broadcast to just deal with her audible. What makes this an absolutely legendary boss move is exactly what she said into her live microphone when she stopped the music. "I don't care if it's the VMAs, I'm not jumping off that." She stated it plainly for the entire world to hear. VMAs or not, live global broadcast or not, PR pressure or not, she was not going to risk breaking her neck or severely injuring herself for a cheap stunt she didn't feel physically secure about in the moment. It perfectly demonstrates how to hold personal boundaries and command respect in an industry that constantly pushes women to ignore their own discomfort. What's brilliant is how seamlessly she transitioned a moment of outright refusal right back into a killer performance. The track kicked back in, and the show just continued as if she had always planned to awkwardly walk down the stairs. It was a complete power move that showed she was the one directing the performance, not the network. She even expertly sets boundaries with the actual audience when they cross the line, but she does it with this incredibly sharp humor. If you follow pop culture news at all, you know about the current, utterly terrifying trend of fans throwing heavy objects onto the stage. We've seen artists like BB Rexa end up with a black eye, Harry Styles getting hit with flying objects. It's a huge, dangerous issue at live concerts lately. So when a fan threw something up onto Taylor's stage mid-show, the tension immediately spiked. Taylor noticed it was a stack of money. Instead of getting angry or calling security immediately, she de-escalated the entire stadium by playfully calling the fan out, saying, "You don't need to give me money." It completely broke the tension.
But upon closer inspection, she realized the fan had actually taken the time to print custom dollar bills. She looked at it, laughed, and said, "Oh, it's me on there," holding it up and making sure the entire stadium saw the resemblance before swiftly moving on with the set list. It was a brilliant, firm boundary against the dangerous trend of throwing things, but wrapped in a perfectly charming, unbothered reaction that kept the vibe of the show completely intact.
Finally, Section 6. Why the chaos works. The raw power of unscripted moments. You really have to ask the core question here. Why do fans actually cheer louder when things go completely wrong? Think about the psychology of stan culture for a second. Why did the crowd erupt into deafening cheers when she fixed her own piano with a stagehand? Why did the applause get overwhelmingly louder when she couldn't find the right guitar key for Delicate, or when she literally sneezed a bug out of her mouth? In a normal, everyday scenario, an audience might groan, demand a refund, or feel deeply awkward for the performer making a mistake. But in this specific fandom ecosystem, the mistakes actually elevate the energy in the stadium to a completely feverish pitch. The chaos is a feature, not a bug, in her live shows. Why does watching a billionaire fail at basic tasks make the crowd go so wild?
Because professionalism isn't the absence of mistakes. It's the mastery of the recovery. And honestly, this is a masterclass in PR. These bloopers separate her from the pack because of how she weaponizes them to her advantage. She tackles every perfect moment with incredible grace, total transparency, and razor-sharp self-deprecating humor. She never acts defensive, she doesn't yell at her crew when the mic dies or the stage breaks. She proves to the audience that she is completely unbothered by the chaos. By laughing at herself, she invites 70,000 people in on the joke. In an incredibly manufactured industry, it gives the fans exactly what they want, a genuine, authentic moment. It turns a technical failure into an exclusive, one-of-a-kind memory that only that specific crowd gets to experience. The fans get to go on TikTok the next day and say, "I was at the haunted piano show," or "I was at the bug swallowing show." That is what separates a standard good performer from a masterful entertainer who understands exactly how to build community out of absolute disasters.
Which leaves us with this. In an era of hyper-curated celebrity perfection, where every single social media post is filtered, edited, and run through a team of publicists, and every soundbite is PR-approved and sanitized to death, is it actually the unscripted, chaotic mistakes that make a megastar truly relatable? Is flawless, robotic execution actually less captivating than watching someone navigate a perfectly handled disaster in real time? Based on the deafening cheers for haunted pianos, factory-setting hair, and backward dresses, the answer seems to be a resounding yes. Audiences are desperate for humanity behind the spectacle. That's all the tea I have for you today on this Explainer Besties. I really want to know what you think, so drop your absolute favorite chaotic tour moment down in the comments. Let me know if you would have jumped off that VMA sign, and I'll catch you in the next one.